Round 4 of the league. T-Lack, the opponent. We've won the dice roll. And this is a bit of a slow hand, but I kind of like it. We have the access to the early shock if need be. We've got an early disallow and a rogue refiner. So I feel happy keeping this. I'm going to play the Sanctum first, just so we can get to double blue easier if we need to play a mountain on turn 2, rather than just playing out the Ether Hub to kind of disguise what we're doing. I know there's some way to disguising what you're doing by just going Ether Hub, but it just doesn't feel worth it. Blooming Marsh. Oath of Nissa. So this is going to be one of the green-black variants, most likely. So this early shock could come in handy against like a long tusk cub. Less so against a snake. So, I've played Mardu vehicles twice, and both times have been close games. I haven't come up against green-black yet, because basically, if this is a deck I'm going to take to like events, realistically, these are the two decks it needs to have a good matchup against. And it didn't feel too bad against Mardu vehicles. I think in the game I recorded, a lot of the losses there can be attributed to, honestly, just poor play. In game 1. Game 3, maybe there's things we could have done differently, but game 1 was definitely down to poor play. Our opponent has got a Blooming Marsh and a Swamp in hand. If this could be green-black Delirium, maybe? Gives us more time to get set up, for sure. Free mana. What do we need to fear on free mana? I mean, Rishkar out on its own isn't amazingly threatening. Tireless Tracker, we could just shock next turn. Nissa would be potentially annoying, but Rogue Refiner we could clear a path to with a shock again. I mean, Nissa would be the thing to fear, but I feel like we could deal with Nissa maybe. But at the same time, is there really any advantage to playing? No, I think we're in a decent spot. We can just hold up Disallow because it feels like we can deal with anything with either the shock or the Disallow, because I feel like Nissa is going to be a tricky one for us to deal with. We can't do it too cleanly, so let's just get it out of the way now. Walking Ballista on 1 I feel fine about, and that I will shock. Actually no, that can stay for now. In fact, kind of playing the control here, to be honest. There's no reason to put that Rogue Refiner down just yet. We're kind of in a decent spot. So, let's maybe just try and deal with this Ballista. Did they do anything before damage? No, so let's shock it now. If they want to spend the whole turn putting a counter on it to deal us 2 instead of 1, I'm kind of fine with that. Then we get to hold up Disallow for whatever comes next. Because 4 mana's got a few more tricky plays. Gonti stands out. If it's not too... Okay, nothing again. Is it possible our opponent just has a handful of, like, nothing? Like, they've just got, like, all Fatal Push and stuff like that. Because, like, I guess, like, the main things I'm fearing from this deck at this point is, like, Planeswalker, Verdioskier Hulk, Sylvan Advocate. Have they played a land for turn? Yes. Sylvan Advocate could be tricky. And in fact, tricky enough that I will actually disallow this. Because that just offers up too many problems. And because now next turn we can, like, Gear Hulk. We can Gear Hulk a disallow. I kind of feel okay about that because, I mean, the decks that have been running Oath of Nissa. I mean, you never know, like, because of green-black, God knows, they could have any sequence of random bullshit. I say that someone's been playing green-black, like, God knows what you're going to run out with. But not many of them, they run like 1 murder, and they can maybe double grasp a Gear Hulk. Yeah, okay. So, I assume they just kept a really slow hand? I don't know. Hard to read too much into that, to be honest. Like, Oath of Nissa... I know there wasn't, like, a variant at the top 8 of Utrecht that was running Oath of Nissa. Obviously, Gearhulk's just an auto-include and everything. Still okay. So, sorry, I'm just looking at the list. That deck can sideboard into stuff against us. 3 Natural State, 2 Heroic Intervention, Transgress. So they can fight us fairly well. And the main ways to it are like artifact removal. I mean, this is a tricky one. I guess this was the matchup that Confiscation Coup was intended for. Radiant Flames could be okay. I know it sounds weird. Shock's probably not so much. Can deal with an early Ballista, but like, if their early drops are like 2/3 Snake, turn 2/3 Sylvan Advocate, or like Nissa or Drana, or like Gonti, like Shock does very little against them, so I prefer having Radiant Flames rather than those. Negates maybe a little rough. I mean, if I see more stuff that I could sideboard in against it, maybe. But I'm not thrilled by it. They also may sideboard out removal, so let's bring in a couple Word of Virtuosos. Because I think this is... Virtuoso is kind of good at gumming up the ground. It's also handy, like, I expect our opponent's going to take out Fatal Push, because really what does it hit? Like, if they know that list, they know it can hit Shielded Aether Heat Thief and a Revolt on Rogue Refiner, but it doesn't feel great for them. Horribly Awry could be handy here. Natural Obsolescence isn't great here, actually. Incendiary Flow's decent. The rest seems fine. It's like third Virtuoso or like a Dispel to try and capture like this stuff like Natural State. Murder is also a big one for Gearhulks. So I'll try Dispel. Mainly because I just like playing Dispel. So Dispel is like, basically I'm thinking Murder, Natural State, Appetite for the Unnatural, Natural Obsolescence. So things that deal with our Dynavolt Tower, and things that deal with our Gearhulks. Because if I'm the black-green player, I'm bringing stuff that can basically deal with those 2 cards, because it's very hard for us to win not off those 2 cards. This was a fine hand to keep. We've got an early Radiant Flames. If their board gets out of control, we have an early Horribly Awry to deal with a potentially tricky 2 or 3 drop. Probably not going to get a 2 drop. Expecting a Snake or something to come out here. Transgress the Mind. So yeah, they're gonna try and play the game of taking our win cons away from us. So this is going to take Dynavolt Tower, I'd imagine. If it takes Radiant Flames, then we can expect them to have a removal for Dynavolt Tower in hand. Because if I'm the black-green player here, unless my hand is completely predicated on winning early with Radiant Flames, I'm taking Dynavolt Tower here, because against this kind of deck, Dynavolt Tower can just take over if left unchecked. So what they take here could be quite telling. Okay, so I took Radiant Flames, and we drew an island, which wasn't great. So we'll leave this island at the back of this list, because we know they've seen everything bar it. So basically the question is like, do they think... There's one or two options here. One, they have an answer for Dynavolt Tower in hand. So if we play it on turn 3, they're just going to remove it and be like, great, took away both problems. The other potential thing going on here... Ooh, Aethersphere Harvester, that's not great. This would be a reason to keep Natural Obsolescence in. The other potential thing is they looked at our hand and they're like, well, they've got Dynavolt Tower, but they don't... I shouldn't have played that island, I should have played... Well, no, I shouldn't have played that island because they didn't know we had it before. My bad. The other thing I think is like, well, they've got Dynavolt Tower in hand, but no... Okay, this is getting countered. But they would have seen our hand and seen like, we would be left with Horribly Awry, Dynavolt Tower, and absolute nothing else. Shielded Aether Thief, that's a nice one. So, we could run out of Dynavolt Tower here, but I'm actually kind of tempted to leave it in lieu of waiting until we can protect it, potentially. Catacomb Sifter. So this is much more of a mid-rangey. So this definitely isn't the energy version. It's much more of a mid-rangey thing. This does. Aether Sphere Harvester is going to become a problem, unfortunately. We are getting close to a Torrential Gearhulk, but we've got very little to do with it. I think now we would run out Dynavolt Tower unless we find better options to deal with our mana. They're going to spend the energy on the lifelink now, so settle in for a long one. Flash this guy in, because we just want to make the most of our mana, especially if we draw like something that can. Okay, so that's the way to protect Dynavolt Tower. So we'll play out this forest because we know they have it. They know we have it. And we'll see how this goes. Because the other thing as well is, like, we do get a Dynavolt. It is worth noting, currently have 0 energy. Dispel will put it up to 2. And assumably next turn we get to Torrential Gearhulk back. Well, we could play Gearhulk. The problem with Gearhulk is that there's no good targets for it at the moment. We can, like, do a horribly alright, but it's not great. Shield Atheist is also an interesting one, because unless they can remove it, it kind of disincentivizes attacking from them. Because we're just going to get energy off it. Also worth noting, our opponent has missed 3 land drops in a row. So they could be quite constrained on mana. So thankfully for us, we're not getting pressured too hard here. Like, we can take 3 a turn for a bit. It's not like Gideon where it's a 4-turn clock. This is a 7-turn clock. Okay, so sacrificing a Scion to play Gonti. Gonti's a bit annoying. Because basically, odds are off Gonti, they're going to hit. I'm just going to get rid of this. Because, no, please get rid of the exile part. Because it's important for us, because sometimes if they don't cast, I mean, they're going to exile the 4 cards anyway. So, we're currently on 44 cards, is that? Because if all of them go back, then they hit all lands, they don't. Because the problem is, like, they could hit a Dynavolt Tower, they could hit a Torrential Gearhulk. Gonti is really annoying because it leaves you in a situation where you have approximately 0 idea what you have to play around. Also, the Death Touch really sucks. I mean, realistically, like, I'm quite desperate to find, at this point, a Glimmer of Genius. It's not great. I'm just going to put Shielded Aether Thief in front of this gun. Well, yeah. I think at this point we're in buying time mode. Because, I mean, hopefully we get to nab something with this Gearhulk, but, like, the Gearhulk doesn't block Gonti at all well. And Gearhulk's not going to put them under any pressure. Okay, I definitely don't want that. Wait, Rogue Refiner? Okay, maybe this isn't green. It can't be Sultai, right? Because Sultai is the controlling version. So I guess this is more like a weird... grindy Sultai version? Weird. Rogue Refiner for us is good though. Because that means we've got now we've got a Dynavolt trigger. And okay, Disallow's also not a bad one. I am going to attack because I want to put the pressure on them. They are a bit constrained on mana in hand, it looks like. Aether Sphere is putting under some pressure, but basically I'm going to try and trade Rogue Refiner off the Catacomb Sifter. Ooh, Openness, that's not great. And basically we're going to Dynavolt down Gonti. And try and whittle away their board. So they found a Blooming Marsh, that's going to be a tapped land, so they're going to get out these mana issues. Hopefully Disallow can do some work against stuff like that. Ruinous Path, that will get disallowed. Because we're also getting to the point where we can, before we've got in hand, we can just start attacking with lumbering falls as well. That's 8 damage a turn. Okay, if they attack with both things here as well, this does means we can start constraining them on crew. Okay, they're just attacking with that, so I'm just going to gun down Catacomb Sifter now. I guess Gonti's going to stay back to deal with Torrential Gearhulk, so maybe you shouldn't have barreled down the Sifter, but you know, we drew out of it because we're Luxax. Harness Lightning, possibly great, let me think about that. So if we use Dynavolt Tower here, Harness Lightning will gain 2 off the Harness, then gain 3, so we can deal 5 to, Harvester, so... And also, now we're actually really turning up the heat, because we're going to attack in for 11 here. Sorry, we're going to attack in for 8. This brings them down to 13. Next turn we have 11 damage on board, plus a Lumbering Falls. We can Harness Lightning something this turn. Plus we have Dispel as a backup plan. Yeah, we have Dispel as a way to answer any removal spell that isn't Ruinous Path. They found a forest. I'll start remembering to actually remove the cards that they play there. So as long as this isn't Ruinous Path, I feel pretty good. Verdios Gearhulk. I think we Harness Lightning this on the stack, except we can't. So this is going to become an 8/8. Well, let's say if they crewed, then we'd be fine. They didn't. Well, that wasn't an ideal... okay, so maybe we're not as far ahead as we thought we were. Like, let's just hope there isn't another Gearhulk in our future, because we've got to block this one. Winding Constrictor. Immediate worrying sign. Here comes the crew. So they don't have any energy. Are they going to attack with both? That's the question. No, they're not. And we can kill the Harvester. The question then becomes, like, how are we dealing with this Gearhulk? Okay, I think we just have to take 3 here. If we just attack with everything, they block the Gearhulk, they'll take 6 off Rogue Refiner, 9 if we add in Lumbering Falls. It's just not enough to get them with a Dynavolt. No, it isn't. We don't have enough energy yet. We need... Attune with Ether helps. Attune with Ether helps a lot. So we attune, that's going to get us to 4 energy. Harness Lightning cast trigger will take us to 6. Harness Lightning Resolution will take us to 9. So, I don't think we attack here, right? We'd get in for 9. Well, no, they're definitely block Torrential Gearhulk. There's no way they don't. Question is if we're just dead if they just untap. Crew Aethersphere Harvester. They get in for 3 in the air, and then we'd have to double block the Gearhulk and take 6. And like that means the Gearhulk would have to die. Because we'd have to kill the Gearhulk and block all the damage, which is either a Gearhulk plus a Refiner, or it's a Refiner plus a Lumbering Falls. We'd take 1, we'd kill the Gearhulk and 1 would survive. Then... Okay, all I know is that we attune with Ether. And I think we don't attack here. Island, why not? Oddly enough, I think what this comes down to is if our opponent tries to kill something at instant speed, to give us a dispel. They also might activate Hissing Quagmire here. So there's the crew. Are they just going to attack with that, or are they going to attack with the Gear Hulk too? If we harness lightning here, we go up to 6 off the trigger, 9 off the Dynavolt. I think we take this. Now that Hissing Quagmire's live, that also makes things a bit tricky. So another Ether Sphere. Ooh, okay, that's yeah. Keep thinking we've got them, and then we don't. Wait, if we harness lightning and don't use the energy, we go to 9. Which is a Dynavolt ping. And then if we dispel it, we have 2 Dynavolt pings. That's 6 damage. If we attack with everything... Or am I overthinking this? If we harness lightning on the Gear Hulk and Dynavolt tower it down, they have 1 blocker, which is Hissing Quagmire. We have Dispel back up. We'd be left with... Well, no, because we'd save some energy, right? So we'd deal 5, have 3 energy, so we'd cast Harness Lightning, that goes up to 9, use 5 on Gear Hulk, then we don't have enough to use Dynavolt Tower. So I think, yeah, we just untap. Incendiary Flow, that's pretty good. Incendiary Flow on Gear Hulk, goes to 5 damage. We go up to 6 energy, cast Harness Lightning, go up to 11 energy, spend 5, kill the Gear Hulk, 6 energy, attack with everything, 9 has to get through, but we've used the Dynavolt Tower. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. If we attack with everything, they've got a maximum of 2 blockers, so they would take 6. And go to 7. Activate Lumbering Falls. Attack, Harness Lightning, the blocker. Incendiary Flow them. Okay, I think that works. I think that works, because we Incendiary Flow them. Because we have to Harness Lightning down the Ether Sphere Harvester. Because then they don't get a block either, actually. But they can... If we block like this, they're going to take... Yeah, it depends if they want to crew. Because they can crew in response and blocking. Okay, may have fucked this up. Basically, it depends if they get greedy with the crew or not. They do! Okay. Life is so much easier when you have 2 Dynavolt towers, because you don't have to do the maths. You just do fine. So 5. I have to admit, I haven't figured this out fully in my head. This could be about to go terribly wrong. But I'm pretty sure it works. So dead. They're going to take 9. And then we Incendiary Flow for the remaining 6. Yeah. Yeah, right? 6, 4? There was probably like so many other ways to deal with that. I can just imagine Mr. Games Matley is like stood at his screen going, "Oh, you had lethal 2 turns ago," and has probably already messaged me about it. Um, but we got there, and that's what matters. Okay, so finished the league 3-2. No, we don't. That was the 4th game. God, that went on so long. We're back for the 5th round. Maybe we will get. Well, I've jinxed it now. We're not going to go 3-2. We're back for another round at some point.